It's pretty bright out.
It is. All right. So before you ever practiced yoga, you were a firefighter for how long?
Let's say about 20 years.
20 years. And then, and what was like your regular job like? Just yours in particular?
Um, Taking care of EMS, the daily duties of everything that went on when I was on shift,
Okay.
making sure the crews were where they needed to be, people were getting taken care of, managing out of town transfers, and responding to emergency calls.
Okay. So I assume responding to the emergency calls was like the thing that affected you the most in your job?
Yeah, and build up over time of doing that.
Yeah, so I guess my next question is like, so how far into your career did you realize the effects of that part of your job was having on you?
No, it's about the same. There's a couple answers to that one. I really noticed it when I went to get some help, and that was about 20 years in. And then after getting help, you look back and you notice that there were signs 8 years in, 10 years in, 12 years in. You remember these isolated moments you had that you realized that was the process you were going through to unfortunately get to where you were going with PTSD.
Gotcha. And then, so what did you do about when you started to get help? What did you do?
I went to counseling and a psychiatrist, and left work for a little while. Tried to go back, went back for a while, and realized it just ain't working.
And who told you about yoga?
Nobody told me about yoga. It was just something I did for fitness and got into, and then through counseling and therapy, realized these breathing exercises I had to do, because you can't control your breathing and your mind in an emergency situation if you can't practice it and control it when it's not an emergency situation. And that emergency situation is referring to work,
Right.
or a stressful situation.
Right.
So through the breathing exercises I had to do, I noticed a big similarity in that we were doing in yoga through different breaths and movements and the focus you had to put on that. And most of the time, that was a not heightened state or a triggered state when you were in yoga. So I found that doing that versus the breathing exercises, and it also helped with, you had to do meditation. And some of the things you do in yoga borderlines meditation. And through talking to the counselor, I was explaining that to her, and she was telling me about how there's some research out there and some correlation with yoga training and helping with PTSD.
Definitely. There is. So since you've been coming to yoga, like, is there anything in particular that you can say like it really helped with? Like, I don't know, any examples of something that how yoga has impacted you, I guess, since you've been coming for so long now?
Yeah, when you other than the physical benefits, the mental benefits of when you're in a moment and you look back and you can use the way we breathe in yoga to regain focus. You know, when you're triggered, that if I breathe a certain way, I can bring my pulse down, and it brings your mind to it too. And you understand that this right here, right now, is a temporary issue you're dealing with, and that you can move on, and it will soon go away. And that breathing helps control that moment. But once again, if you don't practice it in a regular state of mind, it ain't gonna work in a heightened state of mind.
Gotcha.
Or an emergency situation when you're talking about EMS and whatnot.
So you've actually used the breathing techniques that we use in yoga since you've started to like just bring yourself back
absolutely.
to
Yeah.
a neutral state.
Yeah.
That's cool. Awesome. And then my last question is, so think back to when you were told that, or when you realized that yoga could help you, but maybe you weren't very disciplined at it yet. Like, is there anything that someone could have told you at that time that would have encouraged you to try it sooner?
I'm not sure. Type A personality that most of us are, we don't sometimes listen to good advice. We just keep going our own way and doing our own thing. But I wish I'd have known about it earlier, the physical and mental benefits of it. It would have helped me down the road. I'm not saying it would have made my career last any longer. That I don't know, but I know it would have helped me personally.
I guess, yeah, that's another question. So, I mean, I know you said you don't know, but like think back to say that 8 years in now, in hindsight, like if you think you had a tool like yoga, do you think you could have built a little bit more like resiliency within yourself so that like maintaining like that calm when triggers came up while you were still in the heat of things? Do you think it actually might have helped?
That would have helped, but also that goes in correlation with counseling and understanding that and having that knowledge.
Yeah.
It's not yoga alone, but yoga
Sure.
without a doubt helps.
Okay. I mean, just the practice, I would assume.
Yeah,
Just having
right,
the
right.
practice and the time under your belt before those moments where you really need it happen.
Right.
All right. Cool. Thanks.
You're welcome.